Oh, hey there. Welcome back to the Getting Dirty Off-Road channel. This week we've got Blue and Silver back in the shop. Now, the last time you saw this, it was rather muddy, miserable outside. It decided the engine was going to go ahead and be stuck. I guess it didn't stick, it was already stuck. So, since then, it's warmed up a bit, been on many different things, many different places. Did crawl underneath it, however. I got the torque converter bolts out. While I was down there, I was able to get it to roll back. So, I told you before, there's kind of a funny little dinger in the oil pan. Pretty sure we were just stuck up against that. So I rolled it back, got all 6 of the torque converter bolts out, pushed the converter back as far as I could. Continued to roll it back until just the point where I felt it might be against that pan again. Then I figured, if I'm going to pull the engine, I don't really care. So I jumped in there, hit the starter, and it spun. I didn't even hear any weird noises. So it spun over. I'll show you in a minute kind of what it was doing. As it spun over, we're going to address that today. Right now, another new battery. All this junk around here, I needed that one for something else. So, here we go. Okay, now I'm going to take the air cleaner off from it, get you up here where you can see what I saw when I did get it cranking. Okay, I'm going to hit the key. You guys keep an eye on it. Somewhere right in here is what you're looking for. Okay, you saw it. Bear witness. Now, when we messed around with this a while ago, you and I went through a little firing order on the telephone, made sure that that was correct. My wires, cap, rotor, they're not all that great, but we shouldn't be popping back up through there like that. So, we're going to dig in, see if we can figure out which one's trying to bang out of order. Maybe all the way to the distributor, but let's keep in mind, and I myself's done this, we jump right into the first thing we assume, rip that distributor out of there, we just cannot get it right. Don't jump right to the hardest thing you can think of, because I could have messed up the wires. Maybe my rotor's not on the right way. Most likely the distributor, I bought it, the distributor was in it, I assumed it was okay, but maybe somebody had it out of there. So to start out, we're going to keep it simple, stupid. And as always, I have no idea what I'm doing, but we're going to do it. So now, when we were setting up those plug wires, I looked on my tally calculator computer and I found the firing order online, simple enough to do, no big deal. And I started on the post that it shows as number 1. Now, if you remember, that's the post first after the screw here that holds the cap. That's this wire. Now this wire is coming down, number 1 spark plug. There's a reference right there being number 1. But also, if you look at your heads, the one farthest forward is going to be your number 1 on your crankshaft stroke. Anywho, I thought if I would have to pull that one out, I have this one sitting around. Unknown miles, but I do know that it runs. So for just a quick reference, right there is a screw that holds the cap on. I don't know if you can see that down in there. Down in there. Anyways, notch for the screw. First one over, follow it around on this engine. Nobody's done anything with this since we pulled it out of that truck. It comes down to number 1. So, leads me to believe I at least started correctly over here. Now that it's cranking and I don't hear any banging inside of it, we're going to make it run. So, let's figure out why it's not on the right fire. Okay, another key point right here on your stock intakes. I think some of the aftermarkets do it too, but it's stamped right on there what your firing order is. So back here, number 1, we know that's number 1. Then we're going to go to number 8. That's number 8. And then we're going to go to number 4. And there's number 4. So now we're going to go to number 3, which I can see clearly. That's number 3. Then we're going to go to number 6. Right there, number 6. And then we're going to go to number 5, which it is. And then we're going to go to number 7, which it is. And then we're going to go back to number 2. So the way we're sitting right now, our plug wires are on the cap properly. Now, we're going to pull the cap off. We'll have a look at the rotor. Okay, down inside of there is kind of a notch. Well, not really a notch, but there's a piece inside of there molded in that goes down onto a notch in the distributor shaft. It was on there correctly, so before I get excited and pull the distributor out, I'm going to clean this up, clean up the cap, find the mark on the balancer, see if we're lining up at all on the number 1 post. Okay, so we're not that far off from our mark, and our rotor is actually pretty close to number 1, so I don't know if it's the compression or 180 degrees off, but we'll play with this for a second and see. Now, does anybody remember what size that bolt is on the pulley? Be a 3/4. So, good guess on the 3/4. A little bit of hand wash. Just need to make sure I actually have 0. Okay. We're so close to 0, we're wasting our time trying to go any closer. Now, like I said, I don't know if this is top dead center or 180 degrees off. But we're there. And on these throttle body engines, I discovered one time, because I could not get my son's Chevy to time, You set them at 0. Use your light. Do whatever you got to do, but you need to do it while you've got the advancement unplugged over there, because these engines think they're smart and they do all the adjusting for you. Stock application, I've never had a problem setting them that way. So just a quick little look with my rotor here. I can see the screw hole. I can see the rotor is coming up across number 1. So the distributor is either a full 180 degrees off, which I don't know why anybody would take it out. We didn't do that here, but who knows before I got it. My keeping it simple on the stupid part though, I'm going to take that cap and rotor back out of there because they are pretty corroded. Looks like I'm probably not going to get away with it sparking through. Especially this cap, I mean, it really is pretty bad. So, take those out of there. I'll either find another junky set or just clean on these to see if we can get a good fire. And I don't really know how old that gasoline is either, so that might be part of it. Yeah, it's still pretty bad, so might be as simple as that. Instead of pulling the distributor and freaking out and trying to get everything exactly right on, unknown whether or not it's been out, we'll just start with these simple little things. All right, so now down in this side that goes onto the shaft, there's a metal tab there, which I don't really know why. I assume grounding purposes or something. I'm gonna just use a screwdriver, clean that a little bit. Well, it's all scratched up anyways. So now I'm going to be lazy and use this wheel. Put a little shine on that. Dig around right here on the center where the coil wire comes through. It actually looks pretty decent. Alright, I got that scratched up. So put this back in there. And it's definitely going on like it's supposed to. It's all the way on. And then you'll notice too, your little brass tab, when you're on top dead center, will be pointing towards your number 1 cylinder. It's doing that, so maybe it's just a horrible connection through these posts. Which they really do have a lot of crud on them. And that's even after I scratched them off with my pocket knife. Get this center post for the coil. Blow all of that right back in your eyes. Okay, now it's much cleaner than it was. Just about brand new again. I don't really care for this center one the coil wire comes in on, but we'll give her a shot. Okay, I've got it back on the groove. Looks like it's on there where it should be. No, it's acting up. Now I'm gonna have to crawl inside to figure this out. Oh, sure. Now it drops in the right place. Okay, that's back on. We're going to put the wires back on in order. Okay. Got all that cleaned up, put back on, ran through the firing order a couple of times again. Let's hope it's just dirty posts that wouldn't let it fire proper. Doesn't seem to be it. So, let's throttle it and try. Okay, I'm gonna say no. So now, like I figured, I think somebody had the distributor out. She's 180 degrees off. Great. Now it's not too complicated to deal with. It's just, why would you? Why would you do that? Anywho, let's do it. So right now I'm just gonna bump it a few times until I get my mark over here close. Okay, it's reasonably close, so I'll have to roll it back a little bit. Okay. So now I'm back to 0 on the mark. Pull the cap off and see where the rotor's pointed this time. Okay, so right now it's pointed 180 degrees off. So now without pulling the valve cover off, I don't really know if it's top dead center or not. It sure is acting like it should be top dead center now with the distributor 180 degrees off. So I really didn't want to pull that out, but I have a feeling that someone else has, and that's what's wrong. They just somewhere got it in there wrong. I don't know. We'll pull it out, spin it, put it back in, see what happens. Yeah, I would say that somebody's had it out. That's not the right bolt for the hold down piece. So hopefully this works. I'm just gonna pick it up just enough. Comes off from the gear. And then I rotated it around. Now I dropped it back down, but I can tell that it got the wrong tooth. Rotate it back. Still the wrong one. Rotate it back. Maybe one more tooth. Okay, so that one was just a little too far, because now it's not lining up with the oil pump shaft. It's not dropping down in there smoothly, so come back up. Rotate to the next one. Now it's sat down on the oil pump shaft. And just looking at the base of the distributor, I'd say that we're pretty close. And of course, now that we've done that, we will need to put a timing light on it, if this even works. we'll give her a try. Okay, as you can see, that hold down strap and this bolt is a real treat. It's one of my favorites. Especially when I can't see. So leave that a little bit loose because I'm sure we're going to have to time it. I'm really kind of suspicious whether or not I'm in the right tooth of the cam. But we're just going to put the cap back on and try it. Okay, plug wires again. Okay, you guys stand here and watch. Hopefully that was it. Okay, much better. Now the Fireball, I was trying to give it some throttle in there. That tells me that maybe we are still one tooth off, but I might be able to turn the distributor enough. But I am still getting oil pressure, so I am still in the oil pump shaft. So maybe she just needs turned a little bit. We're getting closer. Maybe a little past now. But comparing to the other engine, it may be one tooth off, so may have to pop it out and move back one. Just use the screwdriver to move the oil pump shaft. Somewhere right in there. Got to keep it idling to even use the light. That was so dang close there. tell you what, that's a lot better. And you even heard a couple of times there where it tried to catch itself. So we'll get a timing light on there and get it zeroed up. Okay, I had to step back. My camera was full, but anyways, I had to step back, think about it, do a quick little search. As I've said, I have no idea what I'm doing. I did a little search to think about what was going on here. So, first thing I did is I went ahead and popped this distributor back out. I've got the marking top dead center, and I rotated back one tooth on the camshaft gear, set it down into that tooth, which brought my pointer right back much better in line with number one. So just couldn't get it to idle to even throw the timing light on, other than what you guys have already seen. So I decided I better rotate back one tooth. Now I talked about the oil pump shaft. It did not line up. So thought on it, what I did is I went into that tooth that I need on the camshaft, and then I rotated the engine with the bar until I caught the shaft on the oil pump, which set the distributor the rest of the way down. So now I'm into the oil pump shaft, rotated the engine back to the top dead center mark, which brings my rotor back onto the number one post. Now I've still got to clamp that down, put the cap back on again, check all the wires again. But then I was looking, now on these 90s, at least the 92s that I have and have messed with, there's a little ECU wire, or you know, it's tan, got a little black stripe, just a little tiny wire. But there's a butt connector, should be right here. My other two trucks, that's where it's at. So I had this off, and then I'm looking around. I had to go look at the other truck. I couldn't figure it out, so I researched. This is a 94. This, it's not very good lighting, but that ECU plug is right there. Now you have to unplug that to set your timing. Now I also discovered, the gentleman that I found on the YouTube said that the 454 should be 4 degrees before, where the small blocks are set right at 0. Now my other 454 I have set at 0. I've never really had a problem with it, so somewhere between 4 and 0 is where we'll get set, and then we'll plug that wire back in under the dash, and then the computer will advance and retard based on what the engine needs. Really, these stock engines, the other 454 I actually have built up, so I don't really care for its computer too much, but it still runs, it still works, it does its thing. But really, they're pretty clever. They kind of take care of themselves. That's why I like the throttle body engine. They're not a powerhouse, but they'll run. So now let's get it back together and start it again. So I'm just going to eyeball that distributor where I think it should be firing the number one wire. Snug up on this bolt that holds the distributor in place. Leave it just loose enough that we can rotate it in order to set the timing. Okay, you guys watch. Let's see if we've made a difference. Just hold it down over there. Well, it's still banging. Might be getting closer. I'll tell you what, I need it to stay idling. Let's give her some paddle. Not yet. A little too much. Well, I don't know. So just unplug the ECM wire. See if maybe we can keep it going without it trying to control itself. Okay, that's going to do it for messing around with this thing for now. I did put that cover back on the firewall. Got the timing set where it's showing 0 degrees, so we'll see if that ECM will change anything to make it a little better. It's still a bit grumpy. Plug that ECM wire back in, so I think maybe without the exhaust it's not working properly. Maybe I have a throttle body or distributor issue. I don't know. Pretty well done messing with it for now. We got a demo car that needs to come in. If he's going to drag that across the state, we're going to have to get it done. So we'll have some to come on that. For now, click on that like button for me. Leave me a comment. Let me know what's up. I would appreciate it if you smash on that subscription. You've come this far. Come on, you guys. It's free. We're bringing this to you free. So click that subscribe. Get the notifications. You know we'll be back next Monday. I don't know what we'll be back with. Probably demo car stuff. Your guess is as good as mine. So until then, I'm going to see if this thing will back itself back over to the yard and get out of my way. See you next time. put the torque converter bolts back in it. Everything went good. Transmission works in reverse. See you next Monday.